And I something else I know about you, and you're probably getting better about this, but I remember you were dating this girl that was driving you crazy, which was not uncommon at the time. Mm-hmm. And she had asked you to do something, and you were right. The thing she had asked you to do was silly, and it was like, it was an obvious no. Mm-hmm. It was like, of course I'm not doing that. And then you told her no, and, she was in this situation, so she wasn't happy about the no, but I don't remember her being overtly shitty about it. And you were like tortured over this. And I remember going like, Rafiq, she asked you to do something and you said no, and now it's over. Like I don't know what is left to be worried about.
Right. And, that is something that I am actively trying to work on, because it's hard when you are a chronic overthinker.
Are you?
I mean, little bit. There's always that portion of you that you think, okay, I say no. And then what happens? Well, I say no, and then she gets mad, and then she doesn't say anything, but that's another negative block on our relationship, and that's going to start tipping the scales. And when you start tipping the scales, that means that eventually when she asks for this, because I know that's going to happen in 6 months, I'm going to have to say no, and then that's going to say and it becomes this long thing of like, you haven't even gotten to 6 months later, and you go...
Yeah, you've married and divorced her already.
Right.
Yeah.
Fuck. I love the fact that you use the exact phrase married and divorced, because that is the literal reason why I do not talk to more women. Because I am not kidding you. The number of times I've been in a bar, seen someone attractive, and I have already married and divorced them in my head because they've done something shitty, like suck like the neighbor's dick before I've even said hello. And it's like,
she looks like the kind of woman that'll suck the neighbor's dick. I don't know her name, and I'm not sure about her eye color because she's about 20 yards away. Right. But she looks like the kind of bitch that would
everything
suck
else
the
matches
neighbor's
up.
dick.
I was thinking about this the other day, was just the fact of like, there's a distinct portion of me that as I'm getting older, I am ironically becoming less cynical, because I have been cynical for so long in my life that now I go, well, what if it just isn't right? Right?
I'm so glad to hear you say that, because we've had that conversation several times.
So that's the thing. Is like, I know, like I've always said, like I know who I am as a person, like yada, yada, yada. I am sure that if I live to be age 70, I'm going to be fucking happy-go-lucky as fuck, because I'm just going to be like, yeah, the world's terrible. Who gives a shit?
And by that, you're 34 now? Like that? Yeah. So by the time you're 70, we're going to be in Mad Max anyway, right? So it's like, we're all fighting for gas. Sure.
Right. And that's kind of the point, is I feel like, in the Mad Max movie, I'm going to be that weird old guy that everyone's like, how did he live this long?
And you're always smiling and whistling, right? And like drawing pictures and doing shit like that.
It's like they just see you on top of the dune, and then it's like, oh, that's just Crazy Dave. And like he's like stabs a lizard with like a trident out of nowhere, like just walks off happy, because that's the thing, is like there's so much of me that in relationships in general, or just in life, is very cynical, and negatively focused. But as I am getting older, there's more of me that just goes, who gives a shit? Like, you're right about it. Fuck it. Yes. Like, why does it matter?
I noticed, I was thinking about this today before I got here. I have this weird degree, and I'm always trying to give you advice. Like have anything figured out, I don't know what that's about. But like, I have this weird, guy who's strung out on drugs. Mm-hmm. Like that's the mountain. That's the thing of like, I can't fix that guy. I can't give that guy advice. You know what I mean? There's nothing I'm going to say that's going to penetrate his problem.
Right.
But let's at least try to get him off the heroin.
Okay.
You know, once we get him clean, then he can go start dealing with all the baggage and trauma that got him into the heroin. Right. But for some reason, when it comes to like the guy who won't shut up at the dinner party, I can't translate that same mentality and go like, he won't shut up at the dinner party because of his trauma and his baggage, and I should just back off and let him do it. I'm always like trying to come in and offer advice. And did you notice that like nobody cared when you were talking? Like I'm always trying to fix people I love, and it's like, why can't I just let you just do your thing?
Right.
You know?
Well, because, you know, for guys like you and I in general, there's always, you know, you can call it arrogance or what have you. But
I think you should call it arrogance.
It probably is. But, you know, like there's a part of us that goes like, we feel like we know how things should be. Yeah. You know, and we go like, if you do this thing, if you are the guy who talks too much at the dinner table, it's like you're making everybody uncomfortable. Right. You're making so it's like you and or I should say us in our heads go, if I just tell him don't talk so much, it'll fix things. And that way
I think the other problem I have, it's about are you gonna penetrate? Meaning, the guy who's strung out on drugs is not listening to reason. There's no point in reasoning. But it's like, I know this guy, and I love this guy, and I know he's smart. And if I can just get him, like, hey, have you noticed that when you get to minute 3, nobody's making eye contact, and everyone's staring at their plate? Like, have you... And I don't know how to go... I can't reason with this guy any more than I can reason with that guy.
So it's funny that you mention it because I was hanging out with Tosh the other day and we had a conversation similar to that in which we were talking about, you know, how people relate to the media, right? And the only reason why I bring that up is because over the course of that conversation, I had the realization of like, oh, most people say that they function on logic and rationale, but the reality is that it's usually just emotion. Mm-hmm. So it's not, why can't I get through to this person, right? Why can't I logic my way into this guy being a better person? It's the fact of like, this person hasn't had the right emotional response to convince them internally to change their behavior.
Sure. Okay.
You know, so it's the thing of like, he's never been at a dinner party so awkward that he was like, I am never talking that much again. He has never been,
he's never been on the other side of it.
Right. He's never had that moment where you and him are hanging out and there's a third guy named Fuckface Freddy, right, who's just motor mouthing over him.
Right.
And then, Freddy goes, I got a jet, and leaves. And then he goes, isn't that so annoying? And you just go, you do that too.
Right.
And then he's crushed inside. He's like, holy shit, I do that. Right, because
that's a good point. Actually, you just reminded me, like one of my first serious girlfriends, that happened. She would get in these loops. It was just like you wanted to smash your head through a window. That guy's great. He would give you the shirt off his back. He would give you the shirt off his back. He's so great. He would just give you and I mean, it'd be a minute and a half of that. And then one day she was talking about how her mom, what my mom does that drives me crazy? And I kind of went, you do that too, right?
Right, yeah.
and I think from that point on, I never heard her do it again.
Right. And that's, something that we all got to confront in ourselves because it's hard, man. It's hard changing, the weight loss thing, right? We did the whole minisodes with that and all that. But like one of the things I realized at that point is like the reason why I was doing so much better with the weight loss is because I had a concrete goal that I wanted to achieve. I wanted to make sure I did not pay $100.
Right. Well, you didn't have a concrete goal. You had a concrete consequence.
Well, yes. Well, no, I had a concrete goal because I had a specific weight that I had to get to.
But it sounds as if the motivation was avoiding the consequence.
I mean, that's true, too. But, you know, that's functionally an emotional response because you can talk to me all day long about the logic of losing weight, trying to eat healthier, et cetera, but it doesn't resonate as much as it does emotionally when you go, well, I don't fucking like that guy.
So I just had a bad diagnosis for my gastro stuff, and the doctor gave me no instructions dietary. Mm-hmm. I'm coming out of the sedation and he's going, yeah, you're in bad shape. Here's the drug I'm going to give you. Bye. So like, and that was like a Friday. So Monday I'm calling their office like, hey, are there something I should be avoiding eating? Or, you know, of course it takes them a day to get back to me. Mm-hmm. And of course the list, it's just don't eat anything that makes life worth living. That might as well have been, well, so I go to my cupboard and everything he described is in my cupboard.
Yeah.
So maybe this was a logical response. Maybe this was an emotional response. But at that moment, I thought, well, I'm not going to clear out this cupboard and throw everything away. So I'm going to take a chance and basically burn through all this food. And then the next time I grocery shop. So I don't know if this relates at all to what you're saying, but like, now my cupboard is more in line with the instructions I got however many weeks ago.
Well, yeah, because you had a emotional response of no, I'm not doing you had the emotional response of things need to change.
Right.
Things need to change, followed by, you know, I'm not saying that logic doesn't exist. I'm saying that logic is not the first thing that occurs.
Sure.
You know, it's, you know, nobody reads the news and goes, oh my goodness, Charlie Crist has a track record of being like a kind of moderate douchebag. And, you know, like, I guess he voted on these bills that seem reasonable and these bills that I absolutely hate. And blah, 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 this is the reason why I should not vote for Charlie Crist. Nobody does that. People just read the headline and they see Charlie Crist is running for governor and go, fuck that guy.
Right.
That guy polluted this thing that I love.
Yeah.
I hate that guy. And that's a thing that happened because, and you know, the whole reason why I was having the conversation with Tosh is because I actually had to force myself to vote for him.
Right.
Because the early primaries came up, right? I went out and voted, and he was on the list, and I looked, because it's like him and I think it's Nikki Fried, who are running for like governor of Florida right now, on the Democratic ticket. And it was like between these two people who are running as Democrats, who's more likely to win, you know? And so my initial emotional reaction was like, fuck that guy. But then
your logical reaction is, I would prefer a Democrat. Which of the two Democrats is more likely to take the seat?
Right. And so I had to force myself to bubble in his name.
Yeah.
Because there was part of me that was like, I just want to vote for her. You know, one, because I think women need to be in office more often just to kind of balance the numbers, but also like, because it's like, it was not Charlie Crist. And it was one of those like, she doesn't have a long enough track record for me like logically go, I think she has a good chance of winning this. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, for the moment, I would like to cast my vote to hit pause and take a piss.
All right, cool.
Everything we do matters.
Hey, thanks for listening to that episode of So How About This? Whatever you are using to listen, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit whatever extra button they make you push these days. On Twitter, you can find us at So How About This One. The words are So How About This, followed by the number 1. Leave us some beautiful comments there. Ask us questions. If you want us to talk about something on the podcast, let us know. We'll bring it up while we record, and we'll see you next time.